Good evening, everyone. Chip Cooper for FTC Guardian and my partner, Alan Cutts. Here we are, the last hangout in the month of November 2019, a couple of days away from Thanksgiving. So I hope you guys are, getting prepared for a really nice holiday. And for me, I think I've said this every year that we've been doing these hangouts, that Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. And the reason is, in my family, there's no drama. It's just fun and good food, and we all relax and have a great time. I can't quite say that for Christmas. It seems that there's drama that sort of creeps in a little bit, and that's not quite as much fun for me as a drama-free holiday like Thanksgiving. So, what about you, Alan? Are you getting ready?
We're getting ready. There's only the two of us. So since there's just the two of us here, we're going to leave to go see our kids in December down in Jupiter, Florida. So it's just the two of us. So Di went and bought. Di really wanted to do the whole turkey thing. She didn't want to go out. She wanted leftovers. So she bought this little turkey. So I'll be cooking a turkey and dressing and doing all the Pennsylvania Dutch turkey stuff here. When you talk about favorite holidays, mine is St. Patty's Day
That's a good one.
because it's about drinking and eating. And
Yeah.
even though it's not brisket, barbecued brisket, it's still brisket nonetheless. So I get to eat brisket, potatoes, have some beer, a little Scotch whiskey. I'm all good, man. I that's my favorite holiday. But
Well,
yeah,
good.
yeah, we're busy. It's been busy. It's been a busy time. So all is good. So
All
guys,
right.
before we get started, everybody just give us a quick yes, real quick. Make sure you can see our screen and you can see us. You can hear us. You can see us. Just one quick text or message. Hear you, see you. We're good. Uh, I see Lauren said woo woo sound is here. Yes. Okay, we're good. I just
All
want to make
right.
sure. Cool.
Okay, so let's get started. You see the title slide there, FTC versus YouTube, $170 million settlement for COPPA violations. We're going to talk about COPPA, what it started out to be in terms of protecting young kids and what it morphed into today. And does it impact you? Now, obviously, if you have a channel on YouTube, it might very well impact you. But even if you don't have a channel on YouTube, it may impact you if you've got a website. And we're assuming that everybody who's a member of FTC Guardian has one. So there can be some information here that would really be directly applicable to you. So hang on here and let's get started. If I can advance these slides here. All right, so now we get to the housekeeping announcement you've seen many times. The presentation is for informational purposes only. It is not legal advice, and we're not affiliated with the Federal Trade Commission. So this is a big lawsuit. I think you've probably read about it a little bit if you haven't been living under a rock. And not only was it brought by the Federal Trade Commission, also the Attorney General for the state of New York was involved as well. So let's take a look at COPPA, which is the acronym for the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, passed way back in 1998, and it protects children under 13, and I call them U13s for short. And the protection is in the form of prior express verifiable consent from their parents that must be obtained before the information, personal information, is collected from a U13. And COPPA applies to any website or online service, obviously to YouTube and people who have channels there and upload video content, who either have actual knowledge that they're collecting information, personal information from U13s, or if they don't have actual knowledge, their site or their content is directed to U13s. And with respect to YouTube, there's a huge problem. A lot of kids watching YouTube, and a lot of it is not being supervised by the parents. So you've got a big problem here with respect to COPPA enforcement. And it's not new. When I say it, of course, referring to COPPA, way back in 2011, Disney got nailed by the FTC for what at that time was considered a pretty big penalty, $3 million. But that really pales into almost utter insignificance today with what we see with the YouTube settlement. So what you need to understand here is that Google, obviously owning YouTube, really was saying one thing and then a contradictory statement on the other hand that got them in trouble. And here's a quote from a Google employee to an advertiser regarding COPPA. And they say, we don't have users that are below 13 on YouTube, which is ridiculous. They do. And I'll show you in a minute the other side of the coin as to what they were saying. We don't have these users, the U13s. We have a general audience website. And really, that's what you want to have as a website. You want it to be general audience. So there is no channel or content that is child directed and no COPPA compliance is needed. That's really crazy. I'm just amazed that somebody from YouTube said that. But they also said YouTube made some contradictory statements. And here they are. YouTube, the new Saturday morning cartoons show. A lot of U13s watching. YouTube is unanimously voted as the favorite website of kids 2 through 12. Wow. I mean, ouch. That's exactly what COPPA is supposed to be protecting. YouTube is today's leader in reaching children aged 6 through 11 against top TV channels. 93% of tweens visit YouTube. In fact, it's the number one website regularly visited by kids. So really, those are two contradictory statements. And what really was going on with respect to YouTube is behavioral ads, targeted ads, personalized ads, right? People set up channels, they upload the video content, and then they monetize it in part by tracking information from visitors through tracking cookies for purposes of serving behavioral ads, and everybody makes money. The owner of the channel and of course YouTube from the advertising that is a result of this. So that's the situation there, and the settlement that is already in the books. Really, 3 big points. Creators of this video content need to tell YouTube if the content targets kids, and that has to be done by or before January 1, 2020. So we're really very close, almost, well, just a little over a month away. No tracking for ads without parental consent, and kids can't really comment unless they get their parents' consent. Now, it's interesting here that COPPA has morphed a little bit from its original purpose. And we'll get to that more specifically in just a minute. But the actual requirements for channel owners and content creators on YouTube, again, effective January 1, 2020, is they have to identify content that is directed to U13s so that YouTube will not collect personal information and serve targeted ads. And the failure to identify your content as directed to children will result in direct liability to the FTC and removal from the YouTube platform. So pretty serious. And here is the only time in my experience that I have seen a bug in Prezi, the presentations that I use. I'm going into the edit mode here, and the consequences here for violations can be huge. It can be massive loss of behavioral ad revenue, and there's a lot of talk of Armageddon and getting in the sky falling with respect to content and channel owners. All right, here's what I was alluding to just a minute ago regarding the morphing of the basic purpose of COPPA. Way back in the beginning, COPPA was attempting to protect U13s from child predators, right? People who might be collecting personal information from a kid and then tracking that kid for all sorts of bad purposes, right? Now, it has been morphed beginning in 2013 to protect U13s not only from child predators, but from behavioral ads. That's the big thing. That's what's behind this latest settlement and what is going to happen moving ahead. So this is really the big change that has happened, and it's really causing an uproar, as you probably already know a little bit about with respect to YouTube. So the new requirements beginning 1/1/20 a content creator must designate, and I'll show you the form in just a minute, whether their videos are made for children by checking a box, and that immediately results in there not being any behavioral ads passed. And then it applies to all channels and all videos, including all the past videos. And some of these channel owners have hundreds and hundreds of videos. So it's going to take a lot of time to go back through and to either check or not check each individual one. Now, this is the form here. This is what it looks like. This is the checkbox that channel owners, content providers on YouTube need to fill out. And the basic question is this video made for kids? And it's required that there be an answer. And you see the two radio buttons there, I guess is what you'd call them. Yes, it's made for kids. No, it's not. So this is what the channel owners are busy right now working through their videos and answering that question. And here is really the essence of what is so difficult about this process. And that is, how do we know whether, how do we decide, how do we determine whether a video is, quote, made for children? Well, there are 10 factors, but if you listen, I'm going to read them through very, very quickly. But if you listen carefully, you can see that there's room for subjectivity here. Reasonable people might differ about how they interpret these factors here. So here are the 10 factors that would be taken into consideration in order to determine if a video is made for children. The subject matter, let's drill down here a little bit. The subject matter of the site or service, the video's visual content, the videos of animated characters or child-oriented activities and incentives, music or other audio content in the video, the age of models featured. Are they children or teenagers or are they adults? The presence of child celebrities or celebrities who appeal to children, such as Mr. Rogers, who's no longer with us, but there's a movie out now, or I think coming out very shortly about him. Language or other characteristics of the website or online service, language that might be appealing to children. And then finally, whether advertising, promoting, or appearing on the website or online service is directed to children. In other words, do the ads target children? So how do you apply all these factors? Which factors might require more weight other than others? We really don't have much guidance at all. It's very confusing, very vague, and there's a lot of room for subjectivity. And the result is a lot of channel owners and content providers are predicting Armageddon in terms of their channels. They're predicting that they may lose up to 80% of their revenue, so that there's no real incentive for them to continue creating content. I'll give you a prime example in just a minute. And not least, the FTC has said that they may impose civil fines of up to $42,530 per violation, which means per video, if there is actual knowledge that the video is intended for children or U13. So yeah, if you're preaching that the sky is falling and that Armageddon is right around the corner, and you look at these two bullets, you could make a strong argument that that's the case. And here is the example. I don't know if you are aware of this channel regarding Reuben, that is an English bulldog. In fact, I'm a subscriber. I'll admit that openly and without shame. I'm a subscriber to the channel, and here is a clip taken from a video that I saw last week. Obviously, Reuben is the dog, right? And I really have a soft spot in my heart for English bulldogs. Years ago, I used to have one. They're great pets, very expressive faces, really great pets. And this is the owner here. And when I was flipping through some of his recent videos, I saw this one, which was posted last week. And he basically says, and of course, very popular. He has over 100,000 subscribers. I'm one of them. In fact, let me show you. I've even purchased a Reuben coffee mug there that you can see. The proceeds of that were sent to animal shelters, so it's all a good cause. But the owner was very sad, and you can see that Reuben looks a little sad there and beside him. And the idea was, he said, you know, when all this came out about having to determine whether our videos are directed to or made for children, I didn't really worry about it because they're not. In fact, he said, I think less than 1%, based on the metrics that he gets from YouTube, less than 1% of the people who watch his videos are between the ages of 13 and I think 20. So really a very, very small percentage based on the metrics are actually children that are protected, U13s. But then he said after he decided not to worry about it, then he started talking with other channel owners and they said, well, you better watch out because the 10 factors may apply to you. So here's what he's struggling with regard to a channel that again now has over 100,000 viewers. It's very good content, excellent, and I'm a subscriber. I love it. So here's this first bullet here. The demographic in 2019, less than 1% of views were in the ages of 13 to 17. So that's really evidence the fact that probably very few viewers are children under 13. But then he talked to these other channel owners who were concerned about the 10 factors. And they said, look, there are at least 3 factors you need to be concerned about. One is a pet, this dog, Reuben, that talks in subtitles. And it doesn't happen all the time, but part of the fun of the thing is he'll say to Reuben, okay, it's time to go outside. We're about ready to go to bed. Time to go outside and do your business. And Reuben will turn up and look at his owner. And all of a sudden there'll be a subtitle. Do I really have to go outside? It's raining. And the owner says, yes, Reuben, we've been through it. And so he goes outside and it's fun. There's also what he describes as cutesy music, which of course, I think he does a great job of choosing music in the background that is sort of fun and cutesy. And then finally, you've just got a dog who's very cute, very lovable, that might appeal to U13. So now he's worried, despite the fact that the metrics show virtually no children in the U13 age group are watching his videos this year, 2019. But now he's worried about these 10 factors and how they might be applied. And he's worried about this $42,000 per video fine. I mean, it could put him into bankruptcy, right? So he's thinking about shutting his channels down. So this is a classic example of how this is a real problem for channel owners. So now if you have a website, what you want to do, unless you are intending for your website to be directed to children, and if that's the case, you need to be all in on COPPA compliance. But if you're the typical website that is a member of FTC Guardian, you are a general audience website. And if you look at your privacy policy, toward the bottom of it, it will have this paragraph. You see, Children's Online Policy is the subparagraph heading, and it says that it's a general audience site. We're not knowingly collecting information or selling to children under the age of 13. I'm not going to read the rest of it. If you are definitely a general audience site, this is what you should have in your privacy policy, so you should just check it to be sure. And you should also just take a look at the content on your website pages. And, you know, if you have content there and programs that might be attractive to children, even to children that are not in the U13 age group, but in the age group above it, teenagers, you need to make some changes because it could be viewed as directed to children, U13s, right? And if you have images, again, of children or of adults that appeal to children, you need to maybe consider moving it. And then finally, just review those 10 factors and be very careful about any content, images, text, or even ads that would appeal to U13s and remove them. Because even if you're not a channel owner on YouTube, there probably is a heightened awareness by the FTC to start not only looking at YouTube videos, but checking with respect to other websites as well. So this is a strong recommendation from Alan and me about what to do with your website. Even if you're convinced it's a general audience website, check it and make sure and remove anything that might be considered to be directed to children. Or This is something that some of my clients did years ago. They actually had a screen on their website page, their homepage, that basically screened out people who were under 13. And rather than asking them, are you 13 and over? The FTC requires on a screen that it be considered age neutral, right? Which means something that's not as direct as how old are you? It's the question would be, what is your birthday? And then there's a little algorithm that calculates at any point in time the age of the person. And if it's a U13, they're then not permitted. As a little screen pops up and says, we cannot collect any information from you unless your parents give us permission. So what are the takeaways here? Let's go back. First of all, with respect to COPPA, if you're not really all that familiar with it, the basic idea is that it originally was protecting children under 13 from predators. Now the protection is for or from behavioral ads. The settlement requires content owners and channel owners to identify content directed to U13s, primarily referencing those 10 factors we talked about. And beginning on 1/1/20, if you fail to do this, you can have direct liability to the FTC for over $42,000 per video if it's a YouTube situation, and of course, removal from the YouTube platform. And then a recommendation, even if you are you're not a YouTube channel owner, you should check your website, which is, of course, I believe in most cases going to be a general audience website, and remove any content, programs, images, or anything that could be, according to these 10 factors, directed to children, and make sure you're clean with respect to COPPA and safe in the operation of your website. And these are the tags that will be added when this is uploaded tomorrow morning. YouTube, Google, COPPA, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. And that's the end of my presentation. So, Alan, do you see questions, or do you have any questions or comments you'd like to make at this time?
I'd like to just let everybody know that, I mean, we're talking about YouTube, but at the same time, it's going to happen on Facebook and Instagram, which everybody's getting into these days, or not getting into, everybody's already into Instagram, chat, just any social program you can think of, social media program you can think of that you can upload videos, upload images to, it's going to happen. So YouTube is just the example that's just come out and that Chip used. But just know that if you have an Instagram channel or whatever that promotes, I don't know, fashion is a big one, because I have a friend that his entire family are YouTube, what do you call them? Not socialites, YouTube influencers.
Entrepreneurs.
They're YouTube entrepreneurs. The entire family are YouTube influencers. His wife has a channel and she does her whole thing. He has a channel. He's all about business. They have a pair of children that I believe are twins, young girls that have been online since the beginning of time. I mean, they basically raised their children on YouTube, and the girls, now are in their teens, I think, and are doing fashion stuff. So they're not only do they have a huge following, they have a huger, a larger following than either one of their parents, because I think they're now in their teens, and they're in, companies in New York are sponsoring them, to come try on their clothes and stuff like that. So they're not only doing it on YouTube, but they're doing it on Instagram and all the other feeds that young kids use. And again, if you've got a under 13, a U13, again, that U13 is under 13, of course, they're always going to be looking up to that next age bracket, that next 14, 15 age bracket. You know that it's going to affect you. We had a question here, and I want to kind of talk about. Norm said something about this applies to past videos. However, you can able to choose not to have children's sections on your entire channel, which is, you can do that. But with the problem when you do that is then you totally lose a lot of searchability and keyword stuff in your channel. It's kind of screwed up that the moment you say my channel is only for, totally eliminate U13, which it's like U13 is under 13, but Google statistics are like 13 to 17, right? So there's that statistic that, and it just totally
it sort of makes your channel go dark.
yeah, it makes your channel go dark in a lot of ways when you go to do that. And I've had friends who've done it, and it sucks. So you just have to kind of, play it out for the time being. Like I said, I've got good friends that their entire life, the whole family, are YouTube influencers. That's what they're called.
Yeah, and I know too. I talked to people about it that I know in the last month or two since this started really reaching crescendo here as we get moving toward the new year. And a lot of parents of these young kids don't mind their kids watching videos of cartoons and animals animal shows on videos on YouTube. It's all done in the home. They don't really worry about targeted ads in their kids. The kids are home watching stuff on their iPads or tablets, whatever. And so a lot of the parents don't view this as a crisis for their kids. Yeah. They like their kids to be, watching what they want to see and in the privacy of their own home. So they're really not worried about these ads. They worried about the possibility of predators, right? Child predators, but a lot of the parents are not that concerned about U13s. Where are they going to get the money to buy things? I mean, they don't have credit cards. So a lot of this protection is overblown, according to a lot of adults I've talked to who have small children. So it's not perceived to be the evil that certainly child predators would present. So it's pretty controversial.
Yeah, and Kevin, Kevin's question is, so I'm a professional counselor and have been considering adding generic family-friendly videos to encourage model healthy family interaction. And I imagine U13 looking for the idea or assistance to trigger this. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've just got to be careful. And I don't want to tell anybody right now not to do any of this. What you really, really need to get out of this entire presentation is you just kind of need to watch out for it, right? You just need to know that it's out there and that, YouTube's already been nailed. I'm sure Instagram, some of these other ones will be next if they see some huge violations. You just need to be careful with what you put out there, and if it has any type of U13 look back in it or whatever, just make sure that it's not too sensationalized, right? I mean, make sure it's not over the top. Because if it is, then I think that you're going to start getting them, you'll start having problems in the future.
Yeah. And one other thing I would recommend too is since I watch YouTube on my television a lot rather than my computer, I'm seeing, and I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos. I enjoy it more than regular television, actually. I'm seeing a lot of videos now by channel owners talking about this problem. So if you go to YouTube and search FTC COPPA, you're going to see a lot of videos there that go into detail in other areas that we've not had the time to do in this presentation. So there's a lot of content right now on YouTube about this issue and maybe how to apply the 10 factors, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in more information, YouTube is the place right now. One of the key places. If you just search COPPA and YouTube, you'll see a lot of videos there for you.
Here's a good question from Sue. My product and courses are for age 18 to 19, or 10 to 18, to be purchased by the parents. I have your recommendation and have generated all the forms for my website. Does this mean I can market to 13 to 18? However, I am scared to promote directly to kids on social media because of the issues that basically we've talked about, and competitors are doing so.
Well, the key is you're marketing to the parents.
Yep.
So if you're marketing to parents and you have images of adults there, and you don't have a lot of things that would attract a child, then that's fine. It's okay to market to adults who are parents. But if you start crossing the line and putting a lot of child related content there, that's where the problem is. So if
I'm going to give everybody a good example of this, and that is on the flip side of that is there are the make money online folks that show themselves sitting in front of planes or expensive cars, right? It's the same scenario. If you see an ad sitting in front of some dude sitting in front of a plane, and he's like, well, you could do this too, or it's the same scenario. If you're developing ads with children in them that draw children, then that's the same thing. If you develop ads that draw people who might think, oh, I could have a plane too, and this is all cool, then it's the same concept. So think about it like that. It's just if there's a little bit of deception involved in what you're trying to do to get, even though the parent's going to buy, but you're making it deceptive to get the child to go to the parent, then that's a little deceptive, right? You need to be promoting your ads to the parent. Where the same is true if you're developing ads to go to the people who want to make money online, and you're showing them ads of some dude sitting in front of a plane and going, I just made $1,000 or $10,000 on my last joint venture or whatever, then it's deceptive. It's not right. You shouldn't be doing that.
Any other questions there?
Yeah. If you say your content is, let's say Phil, if you say your content is directed towards children, are you then protected?
Yeah, you're protected. But the flip side of that is your revenue may dry up. You remember the Armageddon, the two bullets?
Yep.
Number one, a lot of people are predicting that a number of these channels could lose up to 80% of their revenue, which if I were a channel owner and I was about to lose 80% of my revenue that I've spent, I think this guy that owns the Rubin channel has spent 5-6 years developing his following of 100,000 subscribers plus.
Yeah.
Great content. He spends a massive amount of time editing videos and all of this stuff, very creative. If he's about to lose 80% of his revenue, that's Armageddon as far as I'm concerned. Or if you get kicked off the channel completely, you lose everything. And if you get sued by the Federal Trade Commission, it could amount to over $42,000 per video, right? So yeah, the consequences can be pretty severe. So yeah, I think Armageddon is the case for some. And think about these gamers, these teenage guys who are playing all these games on YouTube. They're attracting a lot of U13s who want to be gamers too, right? And want to play these games. So I don't know what's going to happen to them. It's inconceivable to me that they're going to survive this.
Yeah. So here's what you have to realize is that a lot of the people who do the videos on YouTube make part of their money, not all of their money, but make a portion of their money, not in the video by promoting the product, but by the ads that show up on their product. While they're doing, you got to click the little thing that says wait 5 seconds and the ad will go away or whatever. Well, once you say that your video is, a U13, a lot of that ad revenue goes away because you can't show those ads to the
Right. And the ability to be found on the
Yep,
channel on the platform
on the
decrease.
top. Yeah, on the top. I have actually tested it, because what happens is all of a sudden my ad shows, but then it doesn't have ads in it, right? So if I'm doing it for a customer, if I'm doing it for a client, all of a sudden his ad shows up, but a video shows up, but his ads don't show up in that video. But if he says no, then all of a sudden ads show up in the video, and now people will click and go to his ad, or his ad in advance.
He makes money. That's where the 80% may go away for some of these people.
That video in the front of the video that goes on, all that kind of stuff. So you've got to be careful with that. That's where a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, let me just say this. This is just my opinion, and I may be influenced by the fact that I really like this channel. I've spent a fair amount of time over the last 9 months to a year, maybe watching one or two, particularly if it's a really funny one, a good one, maybe 3 a week. It's just good, wholesome entertainment. And I used to have a bulldog that looked almost like Reuben, so I just have a soft spot in my heart for him. I'm convinced that it is not directed to children. I've watched a lot of these videos. It's just not. A lot of it is sort of adult, and not adult in the sense that you might be thinking. It's like this owner is a parent speaking to a little child, right? And it's funny, the interaction between the owner of the dog and the dog, which is almost sort of portrayed as a little child, it's parent humor is what I'm trying to say. It's the parent engaging in all sorts of activities with the dog and interacting with the dog as a parent. So I really think that if he basically shuts down his channel, I'm going to be unhappy about it. But if it's construed in some odd way among these 10 factors that his channel is child directed, I'd be absolutely shocked, because based on my watching, it's not. But he's scared to death he's going to get fined, right? And it's very real. And if you watch that video, it's really sad listening to him describe how all the work he's put in over a number of years to build that channel up may be lost. And by the way, the dog is sitting beside him, as you remember seeing in the clip, and he's looking very sad. The dog, as if he understands what COPPA is all about. So it would just be horrible if that channel, if he decides based on his concern that he could be fined. We've gone too far regulating, in my view, if that's the case.
Yeah, and it says, what about channels that are owned by children? Well, I'll tell you that the friends of mine who their entire family are YouTube celebrities or YouTube influencers, or whatever you want to call them, they raised their children, their twins, their daughters, to be YouTube celebrities. And part of it was they got ad revenue for all the people that did this. So they have actually started, because now they have to click the button that they are under U13, that their kids, because their children are over 13, but that their ad channel, that their whatever is a U13 channel or whatever. But in the past, at least 1/3, he told me sometimes it was more than that, was at least ad revenue. The videos that pop up before their video, or either the videos that show up during their video when the kids are promoting or talking about going to prom or going to whatever the hell they're doing. So that a lot of that revenue will go away, because YouTube won't be showing those ads anymore. The only way that the kids will make money is by promoting Neiman Marcus or whatever it is. They just did a thing in the city for Thanksgiving or whatever it was, where they went around to all these stores, and they had these stores pay them to come in and do their stuff. So that's how they'll make money. They won't make money on the ad side of YouTube anymore.
Right.
So
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat, by the way, and sometimes I don't because I'm too busy, talking about what the slides are. But I see Sue has a question. So, any problem targeting 13 to 18-year-olds? And the answer is yes, because someone who's under 13 will typically look up to somebody who is 13 and a teenager, right? Most kids in the 9 to 12-year-old uh, age group sort of look up to teenagers and want to be one day and plan to be one day, right? And so I don't really know what to suggest to you, but there's definitely risk there if you're promoting to the age group just above the U13, because your content might very well be deemed to be also applicable to under 13s, U13s as well. That's the risk you have. And I would say this: your risk in targeting 13 to 18-year-olds is far greater than the example with Ruben, where he's got metrics that show that less than 1% of his viewers were in that 13 to 18-year-old group, and very few were below that in the U13 age group. And he's worried, right? Which I don't think he should be. But you've got more of a concern than he does, because if you look at your viewers, you're going to see that I don't even know if they have metrics for under 13, but if you're targeting 13 and up, you're going to have a lot more viewers who are under 13 than Ruben has. So you've got to make a decision there.
all right, and we have a question from Phil. If your video refers to the viewer to your website that has information, not to purchase something but to learn something more, is considered an ad, and that is kind of a yes and no. If you refer to it and it's only information, then you're pretty good. When you start putting it in the comments too, because everybody always likes to put a link in the comments to the article, then all of a sudden it starts to become an ad, and it's not really an ad. I mean, you and I both know it's not really an ad, but kinda, right? Because we want to make sure it's easy for them to click and easy for them to get to the website. Then it starts to become a little bit of an ad, and you have to be a little bit concerned with it, with what you put in that.
The concern means don't be deceptive.
Yeah, right? Because again, in the video, when you say, "Hey, check it for more information, check out my website and just click up here," well, then that's an ad, right? When you say, "Just click up here," all of a sudden you're advertising. It is what it is. You can call me out, but when you say "click up here," that's an ad. So if you put that in your video, then it's definitely an ad. So that's it for now. Anything else, Chip?
That's definitely all that I have, but you have some promotions.
Yeah. What I want to do real quick, Chip, is talk about December the 10th. December the 10th is our last Hangout of the year. And it's an important one. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that you, and we'll get stuff out, shortly about registering for it. But Chip, if you can just quickly tell people why it's so important that they attend, and then I will follow up with why they may want to invite other people to attend.
It's critically important if at the present time you're engaging in targeted ads, also known as online behavioral ads, personalized ads. These names all mean the same thing, where you're tracking a potential purchaser, a consumer with a pixel or a cookie. You know what I'm talking about. And the reason is that right now the definition of a sale of personal information, which is what the California CCPA is all about, the sale of personal information. Obviously, we know what a sale is. Basically, it's the transfer of a list containing personal information for money or something of value, right? That's clear. What is unclear under the definition of a sale is whether if you engage in programming advertising, which is part of the so-called ad tech industry, resulting in behavioral ads, then we're not quite sure whether that is a sale under CCPA or not. So the safe approach, if that's you, if you're engaged in behavioral ads, you need to have a privacy statement with a number of disclosures in it. And we're going to be talking about that primarily for those of you who engage in personalized or targeted ads or think you might be doing it in the near future. So that is the primary focus. But if you are not, there's still some information in there that's going to be very helpful for you. But it's primarily targeted to the advertising people, because you really are taking a risk if you think that engaging in behavioral ads is not a sale of personal information. It might very well be. It is unclear right now. So the safe approach is to assume that it is a sale and comply. And we're going to show you how to comply. We're going to talk about a new document that's going to be sort of a light privacy policy only for California residents. And we're going to have it up in our generator at that time. We're going to go through the whole process about what you need to do. So the safe approach, the conservative approach, is to assume that that is a sale and plan accordingly and be compliant with CCPA, California Consumer Privacy Act. That's what we're talking about. So that's really why you should attend.
Yep. So what we're going to do is, because I know how important this next Hangout is, because one, I do a lot of advertising for clients, and so it's important for my clients, but I also have a lot of friends who do a lot of advertising for their clients, right? And so if you do any collection of name and email address, or you have clients who do collection of name and email address, you do any retargeting, you do any Facebook advertising, Pinterest advertising, Twitter advertising, LinkedIn, Google Display Network, any of that kind of stuff. If you do any type of advertising, this is going to be hugely important, because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I have I don't even know how many Facebook ad accounts I have. But in all of last week, I probably got at least 50 emails from Google, my different ad accounts, telling me we are updating our privacy policy and all this, the new, what's it called? CCPA? Is that
right?
And our CCPA stuff is going to regulation, blah, blah, blah. You need to make sure you do all these things. So what we're going to do is make sure that you have the information that you need to comply with CCPA moving forward by January. So it's going to be a big one. And what we want to do is we want to make it available to all of our members, as we always do. It's always available to all of our members, and we love you guys for showing up on the webinar. But what we thought, since it's such an important one and it's at the end of the year, we haven't done this all year long. And normally we do it twice a year, and we haven't. This year has just been a really mixed up year with doing a lot of work we've been doing in the back end of our FTC Guardian platform, because we've grown so much. Is that what we want to do is open it up to the general public, so the general public will also have access to it. And also, no shame, make a sales pitch at the end. Is that what we're going to do is, do our normal hangout that we normally do. And if you, as an FTC member, would like to maybe at the end come on and tell us what you like about FTC Guardian, that we can click on the little button here on Webinar Jam and bring you in on a camera or whatever, and you can tell us what you like about FTC Guardian. Great. Then I'd love for you to email support at FTC Guardian and do that. I mean, it's a little bit of opportunity to promote yourself, promote your business, but at the same time, tell people what you think about FTC Guardian. And what we will do is also try to get more members for FTC Guardian. And if you're an affiliate, it would be an opportunity for you to also promote FTC Guardian. So again, it's kind of a win-win-win-win, right? You can promote the Hangout as an affiliate. if you are a member that enjoys what we do, maybe you send me an email or send support email. It gets to me, and I can pull you in online. A little picture shows up. You promote your business, what you do, and then you say how much you like FTC Guardian and what it's meant to you for over the years as a customer. So that is it. It's December the 10th is the webinar. It's on at 7:00 on a Tuesday. I know it's an important one, and that's the reason I thought, well, this would be a good one for us to do. We haven't done it all year. It'd be a good one for us to do since it's such an important topic. And as if you happen to be in the affiliate space, it would be a good one for you to promote if you wanted to do it. So I still see some other questions here, so I'm going to top the questions. So that's it for me. If you want to, email support@ftcguardian.com and let them know that you're interested in that kind of stuff, and we'll go from there. So let me go through the couple of questions here. So, for example, it sounds like I can't give out a tip sheet for teen athletes on Pinterest. Would this be something you could do on Pinterest or for teen athletes?
Well, I mean, one way is to think about the screening out of a U13. You can say, here's a free tip sheet. What is your birthday?
Yeah, here's what I would do is in the link that you put in Pinterest to your website, then you have a pop-up, enter your birth date, because they don't know, right? The person clicking on the link doesn't know that basically you're screening. And that's what you're doing. You're screening. So on your website, free, and you don't say under, what is your thing is,
under 13.
Yeah, I know. I'm giving an example to teen athletes. Okay, so you say teen athletes. Well, let's say in your teen athletes, for teen athletes or for young athletes or whatever, but you don't say in your little Pinterest post that you're screening people. You click a link. The first thing they do, enter your birth date. Enter the birth date. If it's under 13, you just bang send them. I'm sorry, but we're trying to comply with blah, 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 whatever.
We can't deal with you if you're under 13. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, and if so, boom, you send them to it, and you take their name and email address, and you go on. That's what I would do.
Yeah, screen them out, and with an age-neutral screen.
Yep.
Rather than saying, how old are you?
Yeah, and it's all about phraseology, the way you phrase your ad, and then the way you phrase, enter your birth date, whatever, because they don't know what that means. Are you too old or are you too young? It's just enter your birth date, right? So that's what I would do. Wait, Alan, I didn't quite catch that. Do you mean that anything you put underneath your actual video and on YouTube is considered advertising? Really? No, I'm not saying anything you put underneath. I'm not saying any of your comments are actually considered advertising, but you have to think about it from YouTube's standpoint, that if you make a video and if the video is content, ad, content, ad, and you're throwing out advertising, and then in your comments you start linking and they're not stupid, right? All of those links are affiliate links to products on Amazon or whatever. Then you have to be, you have to be considered. You have to be think about. Because I'm going to sneeze again. You just have to think about it. They're not considered ads from YouTube standpoint, but you have to just think about it moving forward, that when you start click up here or see the link down below, that's an ad. I mean, it is, right? Click up here or click down below in the comment section. That's an ad. So it is what it is. Are the current privacy policy templates in the Wizard adequate in California? Call it California. No.
Well, the answer is we have yet to post. In fact, I'm working on it now, almost as we speak. This privacy statement that would be applicable to California residents if you are compliant or becoming compliant with CCPA. And if you are in this category that we just mentioned, where you're involved in retargeted ads, you should be attempting to be compliant with CCPA. So one of our new documents is going to be an additional privacy statement that you will have in addition to your regular privacy policy.
Yep.
So on the bottom of your web page, it'll say privacy policy link, which you probably already have. And then right beside it, it's going to say another link, privacy statement for California residents. So it's a separate document that is targeted strictly to California residents and for purposes of compliance with CCPA. That is the document we're working on right now, and that we'll have it up and running by the December 10th deadline. I've got this sort of hanging over my head now to make sure it's up and ready to go by the time we have that webinar, that Hangout.
Yeah. So basically, the privacy policy itself is adequate for California. If you're doing behavioral advertising and stuff like that, then come January 1st, you will need this addendum basically specifically for California. So
there's a lot more to it than that, and we'll explain that in the Hangout.
Yep. All right. I think we're good.
All right. Well, everybody have a very happy Thanksgiving with your family.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Looking forward to seeing you on December 10th. Good night, everybody.
Yep. Take care.